Ah, well, greeting. Welcome back. Welcome back indeed. I hope you do enjoy this shroomlit night, eh? But yeah, been quite a while, has it not? Apologies for that. You know the drill. Been tired. But in my half awake stupors, I've been leveling the fourth house quite a lot, and yeah, I got the mixed passive assassin, which is what this is, mixed passive assassin. I got that done quite a while ago. Just not getting around to showing it. Hey, you tend to forget that I upload videos about this little old lovely game. But yeah, mixed passive assassin is quite a powerhouse, more so than you would think, right? So go over some key points here. One, it's mixed passive assassin. Mixed passive builds usually don't need defense debuffs like Fireball and Wolf Blow, right? And Assassin does not have any defense debuffs at all. Much like Monk, it tends to struggle, so most assassins that aren't mixed passive would go for a Wolf Blow because sometimes you'll come across an enemy that is way too tanky even for your damage, so and plus, dot skills like bleed and poison, not exactly the best for dealing with tanks because tanks can deal good damage to a glass cannon rogue. So yeah, I don't really need Wolf Blow, and I have Fireball if I need it, but usually I won't. But it's nice to have. So there's that, and let's see. So it's got physical and magical damage, which is nice. You can deal with anything that comes your way, which is yeah, it's got physical and magical of each element, right? So we go in here just to show the skills. So I've got physical, uh, and magical earth. So I've got minute here, and then magic ball. I've got physical and magical fire. That's fireball and scorching daggers. For the air, you got sneak attack, or just I guess any of the air skills, and then Song of Storms for the magic. And then water, you've got icing shock and the nuke skills, piercing arrows, sneaky trap. So if there's an enemy that has a very specific weakness, I can exploit that weakness, which is more than many rogues can say, because most rogues only have fire and air, and maybe a couple of earth and water skills to go along with it, but yeah, I've got a good mix of the elements, which is usually a goal of mine anyway with any build, because the end game is very elemental, I guess you could say. And yeah, speaking of the nukes, yeah, this assassin has all three nukes you could possibly have on one character. It's got sneaky trap, which is a huge skill, a huge being a step up from heavy, piercing arrow, which is a heavy skill, which is a step up from medium, and then you've got bolero, which is another huge skill, but it deals physical and magical damage, so quite adaptive there, which is quite nice. That kind of ties into something else I wanted to start with, actually. Might be compared to mixed passive or just a crit bard, because mixed passive assassin is mixed passive and crit. Bard, that's what it specializes in, mixed passive and crit, and I guess some healing as well. But I will say, I mean, I have a mixed passive crit bard, but there's a lot of setup you got to do. Like you got to have your buffs up. Excuse me. You got to have your buffs up, and play them smartly. And then you need to hope that you actually land your hits with those buffs, right? So yeah, you can go over here and get Dragon Punch and turn the debuff into a +3 crit buff. and also, of course, minute and Song of Storms are your damage skills, right? For increasing your damage, but those only last 2 to 3 turns, and if you miss, it might be only 1 or 2 hits you do with those buffs up, right? Whereas Mixed Passive Assassin, it doesn't really have that issue. It just does damage, right? If you see something, you throw skills at it. You don't have to think that much, which is kind of nice for boss battles, because boss battles, they have a lot going on. Like, you might need to use specific skills in a certain order. And trying to do that and be optimal with Bard is kind of troublesome, cumbersome, quite the issue. Uh, but yeah, and also the stat difference between Mixed Passive Assassin and Bard is not that big. Bard is often lauded as having a lot of base stats, right? But if you have any build that is Mixed Passive and goes down the Bard tree like to 25, because any path can, I mean, well, okay, any non-warrior path, I guess you could say, can get down to Bard. Bard's a 25-point passive. So the difference between any other build and a Bard is just the last 25 points, which is still a lot, but not a whole lot of difference in the long run. So yeah, there's that. Also, speaking of Bard, this build has some really useful debuffs. Mining to the Forest and Song of Storms debuff the target's physical and magical damage, respectively, and it's quite a lot. I mean, it just says reduces their damage, but a -2 debuff, reducing the damage of an enemy of a glass cannon, that's quite a major difference there. Really useful for dungeon keepers for boss battles. Also, this build has a lot of heal power. Between the mage and the bard, I'm getting 165 heal power. That's more than enough for any rogue. The typical rogue might have to sacrifice a piece or two to get some heal power, because being a glass cannon with no heal power really hurts. In solo, yeah, you hit hard, but your lifesteal skills don't really sustain you that well solely off of the damage you deal. Well, most of the time. It depends on what you're fighting, right? And in multiplayer, it'll take less pressure off of the healer, because if you can just heal yourself to full on your own, that means the healer can focus on other things, like maybe healing the tank or themselves or debuffing or what have you. So, yeah, heal power on a rogue is nice, and I get plenty of it from mage and bard, so I can focus my affinity and my gear all on damage, which is what I've done here. So yeah, and I think that's kind of all the main points. It's mixed passive, so it can deal with anything that comes its way. It's got a nice alignment of elements to use. Uh, some useful debuffs. Oh yeah, something to note about the debuffs. You also have a grappling hook, which lasts a long time, so that would turn into a -3 magic and physical uh, damage debuff. So it's pretty nice. Also, it's got Fireball and Poison Blow. That's a -3 magic debuff, although kind of hard to pull off because Poison Blow only lasts 2 turns. The magic debuff there, so. But yeah, there's that. Got all the nuke skills you could ever ask for. I think the only build that has 3 nuke skills, the only other build would be a mixed passive Necromancer, because they have a Meteorite, Elemental Rift, and Bolero. But this is more of a crit build anyway. And simplicity, right? Because you don't have to deal with Bard shenanigans. You can just deal damage the way you want to. So yeah, I guess I'll go into the showcase here. Now, I did record this before, but the audio, or the video got real messed up. Something happened, so a re-recording, but nothing too bad. It was a decent run. It wasn't the best. I did use some crit food because you can never have too much crit, right? And plus, it's here anyway. So yeah, that 1300 crit, it's okay. You would kind of want to aim for 1400, 1500 base crit chance, but 13 you can kind of get away with that. I went with Earth Power because stacking your crit power along with your elemental power is quite strong. Because they are both multipliers on your damage. And I don't know how those multipliers are calculated, but I've noticed that it does make quite a big difference having crit power and elemental power on there. And I just got a bit more heal power because I don't really know what else to get, really. I mean, I probably could go with some agility for those pesky stormy eyes, but oh well. So we'll go in here. Watery drop. That's a decent enemy to start with. I can throw a poison blow at it. It's weak to fire, and really, damage over time skills not exactly the best, as I said before on glass cannons. So I can kind of just use those willy nilly. Very expendable there. I got the windy puff there. Luckily, it didn't crit me. Firewind shield. I kind of want to save my fireballs, so I'll use Poison Blow as a pseudo magic defense debuff, even though I really don't need it, because, yeah, I hit pretty hard. Golem. Right, so I have an air blight on me, so it's going to kind of hurt, but I kind of want to buff, though. Okay, that works. I think I'll debuff your attack because I'm still glass cannon. Even room 4 first boss golem can hit you pretty hard when you're a glass cannon. Like if you're a bruiser, you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I'm not a bruiser here. Not too shabby. Okay, I can counter and get some shield just in case I come across a windy puff. Did not. Flame spark, which is really easy. Yeah, just magic ball. Yeah, flame sparks. Again, flame sparks resist physical damage and they're weak to earth. So it's really difficult to kill them, or not difficult, but I guess it's a little obtuse to try and kill them when you're a typical rogue, especially an assassin, because you have to get around their physical defense and you have to kill them before they kill you because they do some good damage. They are bruisers at heart. Once again, cannot fault them. Another windy puff. Going to try and heal off of this one rather nicely. Yeah, it's that heal power really kicking in there. Because the windy puff isn't weak to fire, but I still healed rather well despite its lack of weakness. So it's nice. Phantom cores, another great synergy. Like I said, with crits and earth. Phantom cores is tricky because if you use water like most assassins to scale your piercing arrow and sticky trap, throwing water at cores will throw poison at you. Which poison isn't, I guess, not the biggest deal, but it can catch you out in a odd, tricky spot. But using Earth, it'll just or it'll give itself regen, which is a lot better. Also, it hits for a lot less when you give it an Earth Blight. It hits for the least amount with an Earth Blight, which is quite nice. You can also use Song of Storms on it because it is magic damage and it does hit pretty hard, as you saw. But you got to make sure that you got to be prepared because it's going to throw a crit debuff at you, which it does hurt, a crit power debuff. But the assassin's typical crit buff there kind of negates that just a smidge, so it's okay for assassin to do that. Usually. So this is room 9, so we're going to get into the more difficult enemies. Hit me with Muckfall immediately. It was not the best there. And evaded my leech arrow. Oh man. Okay, so don't really need to debuff your damage because Boggy Chubby hits with, it hits with magical mostly, but it doesn't hit that hard. So I'm going to try and get my health back up just a little bit if I can actually crit. Okay, if I can crit without Muckfall on me. Yeah, this is a really awkward uh, enemy to find when you need to heal. Sure, I could use Scorching Daggers, but I'd rather save that for Morning Bolt Ices. Okay, Water Mirror. Water Mirror is a very dangerous enemy because it hurts a lot. Oh, I didn't crit. Yeah, it hurts a lot and doesn't die easy. Once again, another bruiser at heart. Cannot fault them as usual. Okay, lucky crit there. Yeah, not doing the best here. Used a lot of my heals earlier on that Boggy Chubby. Of course, it's always the Boggy Chubby that's giving everyone issues. If you're a crit build, it'll reduce your crit damage. If you're a warrior, it does magic damage, and if you're a mage, it resists magic damage. So it's like, how do you kill this thing? Event Chest. So Event Chest is one enemy that I like finding as a crit build because crit builds can kill this thing easily. It has no defense. It has some health, but not a whole lot. So I can use Sneaky Trap, which is a safe thing because if it doesn't crit, it's not going to hit so hard that it bites. But if it does crit, it'll die. So quite a lovely thing. I guess one small boon that glass cannon crit builds have over the typical bruiser, they can kill event chests pretty easily. Although, granted, a bruiser necromancer could also kill them pretty easily too, so not that much of a boon, but still. Getting through all these tanky, super tanky enemies here. Got a lot of them today. It's alright. As long as I can find a way to heal myself. Oh, that's a bad spot to be. Okay, so I might die here. Excuse me, if I can get the frog out of my throat for a second. Yeah, Stormy Eye. It might have initiative. I've got 500 health. So the only way it can kill me is if it crits with its eye wall. If it doesn't crit, I might be alive. And if it uses eye, I'll definitely survive, so. Let's make sure I one-shot it, though. Okay, it used eye wall and didn't crit, but it evaded. Yeah, okay, I forgot it does that. Oh well. You know, that was a good enough showcase. I was doing fine, I guess, but I I did get a victory. If I can find it. Yeah, I did get a victory there. So just pretend that was one. That was some bad RNG, but yeah, this build is really, really nice. Mostly shines in multiplayer, but this is probably one of the only glass cannons that works in solo. Quite surprising. It's got everything you'd ever want. A lot of synergies between the skills and the stats and all that. And yeah, give it a try. Again, possibly my new favorite crit build. Might even edge out the tank assassin that I made a while back. Another great build, but it's not mixed passive, but it can take a hit though, so swings and roundabouts. But yeah, I'm rambling. I shall see you around. Ta ta for now.